The laughter of guests echoed through the grand ballroom, chandeliers glittering like stars above a sea of elegantly dressed people. Music floated through the air. Couples twirled on the polished floor, and every face gleamed with happiness. But in one corner of the room, hidden near a marble pillar, sat a woman in a wheelchair, beautiful, graceful, and heartbreakingly alone. Her name was Clara Wynne, a powerful CEO once known for her confidence and brilliance. Tonight, however, she looked like a painting of loneliness, smiling politely at others while her eyes quietly shimmered with pain. She had built an empire, conquered boardrooms, and earned respect from those who once doubted her. But after the accident, a devastating car crash that left her paralyzed from the waist down, her world had changed. Invitations to social events became fewer, her so-called friends vanished, and her fiancé, the man she once believed loved her beyond appearances, left her within months. Tonight she had forced herself to attend her best friend's wedding, determined to show the world that she was still strong, still unbroken. But deep inside, she felt invisible, forgotten. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love that sees beyond appearances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps us share more stories that touch hearts and remind the world what truly matters. Clara's hands rested on the silver rims of her wheelchair as she watched the couples glide across the dance floor. Every smile, every touch reminded her of what she'd lost. The clinking of glasses and the melody of a romantic song seemed almost cruel in their sweetness. She told herself she was happy for her friend, that she didn't mind sitting alone, but her chest ached with a quiet truth she could no longer deny. She missed being seen, as she missed being loved. As she turned to leave to escape the heavy ache of the evening, a deep voice interrupted her thoughts. "Excuse me," it said softly. She looked up and saw a man standing before her, tall, broad-shouldered, with kind eyes that seemed to notice everything about her without judgment. He was holding a half-empty glass of juice and wearing a simple suit that fit awkwardly on his rugged frame, like he wasn't used to such events. "I'm terrible at weddings," he said, smiling shyly. "Mind if I sit here too?" Clara blinked in surprise. No one had approached her all night, not even out of pity. She nodded, unsure how to respond. He sat beside her, his energy calm and unpretentious. For a few quiet moments, they both watched the dance floor. "That your friend getting married?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "We went to college together." He nodded. "Lucky couple. I came here because my sister forced me to. Said I needed to get out more." There was a glint of humor in his voice that made her lips curve slightly. "Did she?" He grinned. "Yeah, I'm Sam, by the way. Single dad, part-time mechanic, full-time chauffeur for a 6-year-old who thinks she's a princess." That made her laugh, a soft, genuine sound that startled even her. It had been months since she'd laughed like that. Something about his easy manner disarmed her walls. Sam looked at her curiously. "You know, everyone's too busy trying to impress people here. But you seem real." Clara's throat tightened. "Real isn't always easy to be," she whispered. "I know," he said quietly. "But it's the best kind of beautiful." His words lingered in the air like a melody she didn't know she needed. They talked. About music, about their favorite places, about life before everything changed. He told her about his daughter, Lily, and how raising her alone after losing his wife to cancer had been the hardest thing he'd ever done. Clara listened, and for the first time in a long while, she didn't feel pitied. She felt seen. As the night went on, couples began pairing for the slow dance. Sam looked at her, then at the dance floor. "I know this might sound crazy," he said with a gentle grin, "but would you be my date for one dance?" Her eyes widened. "I can't dance," she said softly, glancing at her wheelchair. He shook his head. "You don't need to. Just let me follow your lead." Before she could protest, he knelt beside her, offering his hand, not out of pity, but respect. Slowly, she placed her hand in his, and together they moved, him guiding her chair in rhythm to the music, spinning her gently as if she were gliding across the stars. People began to stop and watch. Whispers turned into smiles, but Clara didn't notice any of it. For the first time since her accident, she felt free. Tears filled her eyes as laughter escaped her lips. The chandelier lights caught the shimmer in her hair, and for a brief, perfect moment, she forgot the weight of the past, the pain, the loneliness, the fear. When the song ended, applause filled the room, but all she saw was Sam's warm smile. "You're incredible," he whispered. No, she said, her voice trembling. You just reminded me that I still am. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of laughter and conversation. They talked about how life changes people, how brokenness doesn't mean the end of one's story. Sam's daughter, Lily, ran up later, her curls bouncing as she hugged her father's leg.
Daddy.
You danced, she squealed. Then she looked at Clara and gasped. You're so pretty! Are you my daddy's date? Everyone around them laughed, and Clara felt her cheeks warm. Sam grinned sheepishly. Well, I did ask, he said, scratching his neck. Clara smiled at the little girl. Then I guess I am. Something inside her healed that night. Something she didn't even realize was still broken. In the weeks that followed, Sam and Clara began to meet often. Coffee after work turned into walks in the park, where Lily would chase butterflies while they talked for hours. Sam never treated her like she was fragile. He treated her like she was human, strong, smart, and alive. For the first time in years, Clara didn't feel defined by her wheelchair. She felt like herself again. But as her feelings for Sam grew, so did her fear. What if she wasn't enough? What if he saw her the way others did, someone limited, incomplete? One evening, as rain poured outside her apartment, she broke down. You deserve someone who can run with you, she whispered when he came to visit. Someone who can dance without wheels? He looked at her for a long moment, then knelt beside her again, just like the night they met. Clara, he said softly, you don't need to run to keep up with me. You're already miles ahead of anyone I've ever known. Tears streamed down her face as he took her hand. You're not broken. You're just someone who learned to stand tall in a different way. She realized then that love, real love, wasn't about perfection. It was about seeing beauty in the scars, strength in the silence, and courage in the small things. Months later, Clara attended another wedding, but this time, not as a lonely guest. She rolled in proudly beside Sam, her fingers intertwined with his. When the music began, Lily tugged on her dress and whispered, Aunt Clara, can you dance again? Clara smiled and looked at Sam, who was already offering his hand. Always, she said. And as they danced under the same shimmering lights that once felt like distant stars, she realized something beautiful sometimes. Life doesn't give us what we expect, it gives us what we need most. Love had found her not through grand gestures or perfect timing, but through kindness, patience, and a man who saw beyond her pain.